So recently I had a user contact me through the channel about building an MVP or a minimum viable product, okay? Because he had an idea for a SaaS tool and he didn't want to spend thousands of dollars trying to test it by hiring a developer, okay? So what I decided to do is create a quick video on how you can build a SaaS tool or any type of application, like a mobile application on iOS in 10 minutes or less, okay? So before I get started, can you do me a favor and just subscribe to the channel? With that out of the way, let's get started. I built this iOS app in like 10 minutes or less, and I'm gonna show you exactly how you can do this using no-code tools and some free applications, okay? Now, as a caveat, I just wanna point this out that this is on a Mac, so I'm building an iOS app, but you can actually do this for your Google Android device, okay? The only requirement is that you need the Xcode equivalent for Google's environment, okay? So you can build the same type of applications, because I'm gonna show you how to do that inside of Cursor, and you can translate them to basically any platform that you want, okay? So this is a working app. There's actually a few exercises, workouts that I've actually put into here, and this is all very customizable, okay? And this is a simulator inside of Xcode, and you can keep adding more exercises. You can include the weights in kilograms or pounds. You can have the number of repetitions. You can even add sets, and you could do whatever you wanted to do. Right? You can even add some graphs to basically track your progress. Okay. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can deploy this on your phone as a production application. So keep watching, and we're going to go through this right now. You're going to need to download two applications to get started. Okay. The first one is Xcode. So just head over to the App Store, type in Xcode and download the platform. Okay, so Xcode, for those of you who are new to development and programming, is basically how you build Apple native applications. Okay, and you can do it across multiple operating systems, right? For this example, I'm going to build it on iOS. Okay, the second application you want to download is called Cursor. Okay, and basically Cursor is a no-code, like a language model, like a platform, but you can build anything inside of it, right? You can build SaaS tools, you can build apps, you can build pretty much anything you want to build, right? Because it is using language models, right? So for example, I use Claude Sonnet 3.5, but they have GPT-4, they've got a few others there, okay? And I'm actually paying for this pricing plan on Cursor, but you can actually do this on the free plan, okay? Just bear in mind that there's something like 50 credits or 50 executions, or I think 2,000 operations that you can do on the free plan per month. But obviously those restrictions are then removed when you buy the paid version. Open Xcode and select create a new project. Now you could actually do this inside of Cursor, but it's just much easier to do this inside of Xcode because it basically creates all the folders, all the dependencies, all the files that it needs, which makes Cursor's job a lot easier, okay? And then you're gonna see a option to select a template for your project. Okay, now we're gonna use the iOS app application and click on next. And then for the product name, I'm going to create a workout app. So I'm going to call it Get Shredded Bro. And then for team name, you just want to connect it up to your Apple ID. Okay, so I've done this before, but if you're logging on for the first time, this is going to be blank. Click on the drop down, click on add team, and then it will just prompt you to put in your Apple ID and password. Okay, for organization identifier, for some reason they want your web domain backwards, so I've just put mine in, which is the automationkings.com. If you don't have a domain, just make one up. I don't think it really matters that much. And then for everything else, you want to leave it at the default. Okay, so we're going to click on next, and then I'm just going to save this on my desktop because it's just easy to find. So you can see here, it's just created the folder, and now it's just going to go ahead and create everything that it needs for it to get started. Okay, now you can ignore this one. I mean, it wants me to install some Git repository, but you don't actually need it for this example. Okay, so you can see here that it's actually going ahead and creating all the files, all the folders, dependencies, which is why you can't see anything in the preview just yet, right? It's just indexing the files, it's processing the files, and then once that's done, I'll come back and show you what the preview looks like. So once it's done, you're going to see the preview here, and you can still edit all this, right? You can go inside of here, change hello world to hello you, and you can change the image to smiley or whatever, right? You can still edit all that. So this is when you know that everything's worked. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is head over to Cursor. If you haven't installed it, head over to cursor.com, install the application. Like I said, I'm on the Pro plan, so you're gonna see Pro settings here. And you wanna click on Open Project, okay? So now for the project, we're gonna select the file folders that we created, which is Great Show Bro on the desktop. So open that. And then basically it's gonna bring up all the files that was created inside of Xcode. Now, like I said, this is the fastest and the easiest and the most kind of compliant way of doing this, but you could actually build all the Swift files inside of Cursor if you wanted to, right? So before we start the prompt, I just want to take over to Chrome, okay? Because I want to take a couple of URLs that are going to help us with the build, okay? So the first one is the developer documentation for Swift. And the great thing about Cursor is that it can actually read websites, okay? So I'm gonna take the URL for this, head over back to Cursor, and then in the chat window or the composer window, just click on @docs, and then go down to the bottom, and then you can add a new doc, okay? And then paste the URL in here. Now I've actually already gone ahead and done that, so I'm just gonna select that. Okay, so go to docs, and mine is Swift UI, which is the first one, and then the second one is gonna be, in fact, let me show you that first, is gonna be the UI design do's and don'ts. Because like I said, Cursor's power is that it can actually review websites. It can actually look at this and review it. And what's great about using a website as opposed to using like an attachment like a PDF or something like that to train the UI, to train the language model in the UI and best practices, is that these websites are constantly updated by Apple, right? They're going to constantly update their knowledge bases. So you're better off using a website versus something like text or like a PDF, okay? So grab the URL for this, head over, do the same thing again, and call it something useful. I've called it Apple Design Tips, okay? And then the last thing I want to do is find the prompt. So I've actually gone ahead and done that. This is the find prompt for a iOS lifting tracker app. And basically what it says is build an iOS app that helps users track their weightlifting workouts with the following features: workout logging, auto-suggest exercises, progressive overloads, curve progress graph, so on and so forth. Ensure a clean, intuitive UI with a focus on usability and efficiency. And this is obviously reinforced with the two websites that we've actually included in the Cursor prompt here, okay? So I'm just gonna copy this and head back over to Cursor and then paste that here. And then we're just gonna run this. Okay, so just wait for that to run. It's obviously generating everything we need. And it's going to create all the necessary files, so all the necessary Swift files, dependencies. It's going to update it all here. Once it's done, obviously it's going to update the actual file folders on my desktop, which is what's connected into Xcode, and that's where you're going to see it inside of the simulator, the preview, okay? So I'm just going to wait for this to finish, and then I'll come back once it's done. So the initial build is done, but there are some errors in this code, okay? Which is absolutely fine, because remember, Cursor is a language model, right? So we can fix it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep going back and forth, iterating and making it better, right? So the first thing I want to do here is copy the code and head back over to Cursor, and then I'm gonna paste it in here with all the error messages, okay? And just let it go through that. It's obviously gonna update the tree structure here. It's gonna update all these Swift files, which are then gonna be used inside of Xcode, so we can basically simulate the app, right? So let's just wait for this to finish here, and let's see if we can review it. Just gonna add, are there any errors as well? So wait for that to finish, and you can see that there are some potential issues that might need to be addressed. And you can see what it's doing, right? It's found the problem, and it's basically updating the workout log view.swift file, right? Which is one of the files that's going to be used inside the app, and that's going to show, details and data related to the workouts, okay? It's going to keep updating that until it iterates and finds the problems. And you can see exactly what it's doing as well. You can also review this inside the log as well to see what it's doing. And remember, this is completely customizable, so you can change the fonts, you can change the colors. I'm just going to keep it simple and show you what a basic app looks like an MVP, right? If you want to test anything, if you want to test an idea or like a SaaS tool, you can do it with this. So I'm just going to pause this until it's done, and then we'll come back So as you can see, there are still some errors in the code that we're going to need to fix inside the cursor. Okay, so there's a bunch of errors inside of the workout log view. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy this and paste it into cursor. Okay, so fix this error. And you can see it's taken up basically the file folder from my desktop, and it's got the error message in there. So just wait for that to finish, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same for each of these error messages. I'm going to copy it into cursor and let it debug that way. So I'm just going to pause this and wait for it to finish. So after 1 or 2 rounds of tennis with the language model to fix a few of these errors, you can now see a basic UI, okay? And this all works. So you can go inside of here and type in bench press. You can do 5 sets, 5 reps, and the weights. Let's just do, I don't know, let's do 80, assume it's pounds. We can actually add that in there. So we can actually add kilograms and pounds. And we can click on save workout. And yeah, we can add a bit more. So let's go back into cursor and make the UI a bit more interactive. Add a progression chart. Let's see if we can do that. So remember, you can update, you can go back and forth and make it as good as you want. So you can see here that the content view, which is the view that I'm on, is actually updating the code. And if I go back into Xcode, you'll see that it'll start indexing again, which means that it's pulling in the updates from the cursor changes. Okay, so we see that once it's done, you can see it's gonna refresh the preview. Okay, now if there are any errors along the way, just do what I suggested and just copy the error and paste it into cursor, okay, and just say fix this. It'll know where it is because if you see in the log, right, it'll tell you which line this error has triggered, right? So it'll know exactly where to find it in terms of the code. And you can make this a lot better. You can add a home page here. You can add dates, times. You can add different types of exercises. You can add emojis. You can add pictures, fonts, whatever you want to do, right? I just want to show you how easy it is to build an MVP. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is how you can build this using, let's say if you want to go to production, you can actually create icons, you know, app iOS icons. And finally, I'll show you exactly how you can deploy this on your Apple iOS device. So before you create the icon, I just want you to head over to this website. Again, it's another developer, apple.com page, and this is just best practices guidelines for app icons. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all and head over to ChatGPT because I'm going to use DALL-E 3 to create the icon. Now you can use any app that you want. You can use Leonardo, you can use Midjourney. I'm just going to use DALL-E 3 in ChatGPT because I already paid for it, right? So I'm going to paste this inside, but first I'm going to say create an iOS app icon using these guidelines for a weightlifting tracking app. Okay, and then just paste everything in there and just let ChatGPT do its thing. So you might need a few iterations of this, but it's totally fine. Just remember to follow the guidelines if you are going to production of what the app should look like. Okay, so iOS should look something like this, and you should make it as crisp as possible, okay, because the icon is a very important part of an app success. Okay, so yeah, there's a few things in here that you can do. Head over back to the ChatGPT. So yeah, this isn't bad. We can still play around with it. It's probably too kind of deep in terms of detail. It needs to be flat, right? Because if you go back into the Apple documentation, you can see that, yeah, there is some depth to it, but the image is still quite flat, right? It's not like 3D like this one. So let's say make it 2-dimensional. And you're gonna have to go back and forth with a few prompts just to make sure that you're happy with it. And if it is an MVP, you don't have to be too crazy about it. I mean, I like this one, but again, remove the Apple logo because that's not gonna be allowed. Remove the Apple logo. I'm not sure why it's put it in there, but there you go. language models do require some guidance, some examples. Okay, so let's see what it comes up with. Again, yeah, it's not sure why it's done that, but let's just see if we can do a better model. And it comes out with a better output. Okay, so let's see what happens. And yeah, this is getting worse. I actually like this one, but I wanted to remove the Apple logo. Okay, so create a 2D logo, but do not include maybe I need to be a bit more specific inside the design, right? Let's see if it can do something better. Because this one's not bad. Actually, this one's not bad if it was just flat. This one kind of, I don't know what this is supposed to be. And again, it's kind of come back with this. So just keep going back and forth. I'm going to take this one just for the sake of this video. I'm not sure if DALL-E 3 is the best for this particular task. You might want to use Midjourney. Midjourney is pretty good. And I'll probably do a future video about how we can use Midjourney to create images, and certainly use the API to do that as well. Okay, so just downloaded it. I've downloaded this image here, and I'm going to head back over to Xcode. Okay, so inside of assets, just open that up, and you're going to see an app icon status here. Okay, and then this is where you can download and upload the icons. Okay, so remember, this is for any appearance, this is for dark, this is for tinted. Okay, so I'm just going to use the same image, which is it done here? Kind of web. Okay, so I think it's, let me go back into here. I'll put the file into JPEG. It's actually like a Word page file, so that's not going to work. So I need to output this into JPEG, which should be fine. Let's see which one is downloaded. Let's head back over to Xcode. Let's just see. Okay, it's this one here. And for the sake of this example, I'm just going to use the same image. But you obviously, if you have an MVP, you want to make sure that it's a little bit better than this. And that's it. So last step is transferring your MVP over to your phone. And what you want to do is you want to take your iPhone and plug it into your Mac or your Mac workstation. Okay, and head over to the simulation, click on this icon here, and then where it says more, you should see a list with your phone in there. So if it's John's phone, Mike's phone, whatever, it'll be on this list here. You want to connect to your device, and if there's any pop-up that says, do you trust this device, click on yes or click on trust, and that's it. Basically, that's how you do it. So hopefully this video has been useful to you. I just wanted to show you how to use Cursor because somebody did send me a message saying, is there a no-code solution for building apps? Okay, so as you can see, there is. Now you can spend a lot more time inside of the prompting. This is just a very basic MVP. I want to show you what's possible with this, okay? Because you can build out any app, any service, any idea. You can test it first, right? You can build it out, you can test it first, you can send it to your friends, and you can canvas opinion. Like, is it a good app? Is it something that people would pay for? And in the old days, this will take, a few $1,000s to build something like a prototype, okay? Now you can do it in, 10 minutes, and you can test it yourself. So leave me a comment below, like this video, share it, and most importantly, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.